Here I am again, everybody. Just wanted to do another video of all the dolls and toys that I'd found over the holiday season. And I wanted to dedicate this to my new doll bestie, Steven Dyal. Met him online, and over the few months he's hooked me up with some really great dolls and vintage toys. So let's go ahead and get the show on the road. First off is this excellent Georgine Novelties Raggedy Andy store display from the 40s. He's in excellent condition and very valuable. Steven came across Andy for me, so I sent him money and Steven sent Andy home to me. And here's some more dolls and stuff from Steven. Nice souvenir doll, most likely from Guatemala. Some teddies from about maybe the 70s. Really nice. I really like these. Then some craft books on making teddy bears and sock animals and knitted dolls, and it's pretty neat. Then another favorite thing he had sent me are these pieces from the Show and Hut Humpty Dumpty Circus. The donkey and the little clown here, they were in pieces and in pretty bad shape. And in the same day I got them, I totally repaired them. I found out that they're from the early mid-20s, from the reduced size of the Humpty Dumpty Circus, which is pretty hard to find. Moving on, here's a nice vintage 50s, maybe early 60s Cocker Spaniel, I believe. That's what type of dog this is. She's in really good shape. I had to fix one of her ears, but other than that, really nice, soft, and fluffy. You know, really good condition for its age. And moving on, Steven also sent me a Cabbage Patch Kids Snack Time. They became pretty infamous about a couple years back for being known as eating kids' hair. This one here is mint in the box. Not much value, but still it's a really neat thing to have in a Cabbage Patch collection. Moving on is this G.I. Joe that Steven sent me. He said he had gotten it one Christmas and it just remained in the box ever since. So he figured that I'd appreciate it more, and sure enough I do. He's a really great addition to my G.I. Joe collection, and coming from Steven, even better. And here's some more Cabbage Patch dolls that he found for me. And some more vintage Cabbage Patch dolls from the 80s, the last two right there. And also one of the movies that they had come out with back in the 2000s. Then here, an original 1984 boxed Cabbage Patch Kid, which is really great. She's in great shape, mint condition all the way. Love her. Next up, some Mattel items. Here we have the Sunshine family. I think his name is, actually I think it's funny, his name I believe is Steve, or Steven, and Steffi. And I forget what the baby's name is, but they're from Mattel, Sunshine family. And then Steven found me great piece right here, a 1960s American Girl Barbie head. And just finding those alone is pretty rare. And you have Skipper, and I believe that is Todd up there. And some Barbie hair fair pieces. And then here we have, excuse her not wearing a top, is what looks to be a Dawn doll, but I've handled and dealt with plenty of Dawn dolls, but this one for some reason feels a little cheap. And, you know, not the best quality, so I'm assuming this is a clone. But still, you know, fun to have, and thank you again, Steven. And here we go. I collect sock monkeys as well, and sock dolls, and we have a nice, really interesting sock monkey had found for me. Here we have a sock clown. Then up here, really nice, is a sock black doll. And she was actually dressed in a different outfit, but I figured this one was a little more appropriate. So here we go. Okay, moving on up. Here back to the other two Cabbage Patch dolls that Steven found for me. This tan poodle girl here in the middle, yeah, is actually in pretty bad shape, but she cleaned up very nice. Got her coloring back, fixed her hair. She looks wonderful. And so far, these are the dolls that Steven has found for me, hooked me up with. And I keep telling the guy, he has a knack for finding some really great pieces. And I know that from seeing the stuff that he's found for himself, for his collection. It's just like, wow, I can't believe he found those, at really great prices. So, way to go, Steven. Thanks for hooking me up, and, good luck on finding more dolls for your collections. And, it's always fun when I find stuff for you, too, and I really appreciate what you had found for me. So hopefully here's to more good finds in the new year. So, with that out of the way, I wanted to show off some other dolls that I had found myself through yard sales, flea markets, and the antique stores. Here's some other Cabbage Patch dolls. Mid-80s. They're all great shape, Found them for a couple bucks, brought them home, fixed them up just to add to the collection. I'm pretty sure I have like a couple versions of each anyway, but it's just hard to turn them down when I see them. And hey, at $2 a pop, can't beat that. And before I forget, I want to thank Steven. Thanks again for finding me this genuine Cabbage Patch outfit. Really nice. Seen modeled by her. And moving on, seeing these two lovely ladies from my earlier vid. And down here, got these two sock monkeys recently. Just had to get them to add to my collection. And this little lady down here is a handmade reproduction of an antique doll. Got her at the flea market for about $3. Not that bad. And over here we have a modern porcelain doll. Not really much value, but something about her head mold and her eyes remind me of the antique Gemot or French dolls. Pretty neat. Looks kind of creepy to somebody, but I like her nonetheless. Like I said, not much value, but just nice to have. And here we have the infamous Walda, often mistaken as a genuine antique, but not really at all. And we have another little modern porcelain doll. Yeah, probably about the 80s. Kind of neat. And we have a hard plastic Canadian Mountie, about 1950s, 60s. Probably a souvenir doll from Canada. And here we have the quintuplets, as seen in my other video. Moving on, here's some raggedy finds. Now keep in mind, all these dolls I've gotten in a probably about 2.5 month period. Just wanted to show them off. Here we have a very hard to find, large, about 36-inch, early Georgine Novelties black outline nosed Raggedy Andy. And he was in pretty bad shape when I found him, so I had to clean him up, repair his legs. His suit is original, and it was original wig, and his cap I replaced, I made myself. His face had to be touched up a bit, pretty faded, and looks good as new now. Next to him is another Georgine Novelties Raggedy Andy, about 36 inches as well. And his suit is a total replacement done by me, but very fitting for the era. And so is his cap. Cap is a replacement. And he's probably from about the mid-40s. Really nice. And moving on, we have a pair. Really nice coloring in these Knickerbocker Raggedy Ann and Andys. Really, really nice. And Raggedy Ann's top knot is pretty full, which usually that's the first thing to go from being drug around a lot. And Andy's hat, still original, Still glued onto his hair too, amazingly. So they're a pretty good pair. Got them off eBay as well. Moving on. Here we see this 36-inch handmade African American Raggedy Andy from my other video. And you can see I've totally repainted his face. His face was very faded and you can barely make out what was there. But he's been repaired, washed, cleaned up, and looks amazing. He's in great shape. Really, really great looking Andy now. Speaking of Andy, here we have a Toys R Us Hasbro Raggedy Andy. He's pretty common, fairly common, but still, hey, for $1.50 at the thrift store, I had to bring him home. Then here we go, we have a pair of handmade Raggedy Ann and Andys. And interesting thing is, the pattern, the McCall's pattern that was used for him, dates from about 1959, 1960. But these dolls were made maybe about 10, 15 years ago using an old pattern. But still, it's pretty neat. You know, they're in the older style, but fairly new. And speaking of older ones, you saw this guy in my other video, 40s vintage Raggedy Andy, blonde. Next to him, we have a blonde 1940s handmade Raggedy Ann. Interesting leg pattern. She's in great shape after being cleaned up and fixed by me. Alrighty, last but not least, we have a vintage, probably early 70s, plaster Raggedy Andy bank. In excellent condition. Found him at a thrift store. I paid a pretty hefty price for him, $10. But you know, I don't have one, and he's in really great shape, and to find him in this good a condition is pretty hard to find. And here we go, we have another vintage handmade Raggedy Ann. I would date this one probably from the about the 60s, possible 70s. She's in really great shape. She was in that lot of box lot of dolls that I got that also included Walda, and she was in there too, which was a great deal. And so thus concludes my finds for the holiday season. And thank you very much to Steven Dyal, who helped me out in finding a bunch of dolls and hooking me up with some really great pieces. So I know this isn't going to be the last, and thanks for watching. Bye.